March 27th, 2012. The Detroit Planning Commission is made up of 9 residents of the city of Detroit who are nominated by the mayor and approved by a majority of city council and typically serve terms of up to 3 years. This evening, we have a special study meeting for the purpose of reviewing a special use request and preliminary site plan review for Tim Hortons, which we saw initially a couple weeks ago. With that, would you please call the roll?
Mr. Edmonds?
Here.
Mr. Hudson?
Here.
Mr. Krent?
Here.
Mr. Maxwell?
Here.
Mr. Zanzika? Mr. Shepke?
Here.
Mr. Schultz? Mr. Stratt?
Here.
Mr. Tagle?
Here.
All right, we have a quorum present. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Moved by Mr. Edmonds and seconded by Mr. Tagle. Vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Krent?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Mr. Shepke?
Yes.
Mr. Stratt?
Yes.
Mr. Tagle?
Yes.
Mr. Edmonds?
Yes.
All right, the motion passes. Next is the approval of the minutes of the March 13th, 2012 regular meeting.
I'll move to approve.
Moved by Mr. Krent and support from Mr. Shepke. Any discussion on that motion? All right, vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Krent?
Yes.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Mr. Shepke?
Yes.
Mr. Stratt?
Yes.
Mr. Tagle?
Yes.
Mr. Edmonds?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Next is item 4, public comment for items not on the agenda. Is there anyone present wishing to speak on any item that is not on tonight's agenda? All right, so no one will close that item.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Stratt.
Yeah, there's something that I maybe would like to bring up.
All right.
Since I've been on the zoning board of appeals, we haven't had a response for it, or we haven't had it on the agenda for study sessions.
Oh,
The
it's been...
report on what had happened. I wonder if you wanted to incorporate that?
Please do.
Or was that be out of order here?
No, sir, if you have a report to give, please give it.
Okay, I'll just give a quick report. There are 2 meetings. One was on the 17th of January, in which case the variance was given to Jim Brady of Continental Services on Stevenson Highway. I think I brought that to the Planning Commission's attention before, that I wanted to know what the criteria was, because there was quite a bit of changes that were done to the building itself. As a matter of fact, it was brought up again. So there are two items on that Jim Brady's Continental Services on Stevenson Highway. But I wanted to know exactly, and I asked, if we had a criteria as to when does it come before the Planning Commission and when it doesn't. The second item was on February the 21st, which a variance request for St. Nicholas Greek Orthodox Church for a festival. And those were the 2 items that we had, 1 item on each evening.
Well, thank you, Mr. Stratt. Sorry that we left you out.
Yeah, I feel kind of slighted.
All right, I will make a note. I will not forget you.
Yeah.
I won't forget you the next time, that's for sure. All right, next is item 5, a special use request and preliminary site plan review, file number SU394, proposed Tim Hortons Restaurant, north side of Maple Road, west of John R., 1905 East Maple, section 26, currently called GB General Business District. That is your presentation.
Yes, good evening. Before I start, I'd just like to note that Brent apologized for not being able to make it at 7 o'clock. He had a family emergency or obligation, but he will be here for the 7:30 meeting. On to the Tim Hortons special use and site plan review. As the chairman alluded to, this was first reviewed by the Planning Commission at your March 13th meeting. And since that meeting, the applicant has done a good job of addressing many of the concerns and issues raised by the Planning Commission. Unless desired, I was not going to go over a full site plan review, but simply highlight the issues raised by the Planning Commission and the subsequent addressing by the applicant, if that's okay with the Commission. The first major issue raised by the Planning Commission was the trash enclosure location. And due to circulation, access, as well as aesthetics, the applicant has agreed to relocate their trash enclosure to the landscape peninsula located by the menu board. This location does address many of the concerns raised by the Planning Commission. The second issue is in regards to bicycle parking. As required by the ordinance, the applicant has installed a bicycle parking area. The proposed location is adjacent to the building entrance. This location is ideal because 1, it's proximity to the building entrance, and 2, has direct access off Maple Road. The applicant has also confirmed that they are willing to do a more decorative bike rack than the typical one you'd see on Maple Road. However, that's going to be submitted as part of the final site plan review, which is allowed under ordinance. The only condition we have on the bike rack location is that we ask them to turn it 90 degrees so that the end of the bicycle tire does not impede into the sidewalk, and the applicant has agreed to do that. The next issue under consideration was the drive-through stacking and access drive. The applicant has shown on the reconfigured site plan the stacking of 10 cars, and it can be these 10 cars can be adequately stacked without extending into the drive aisle. The applicant has also eliminated the striping in the drive access, so now the access and the stacking is sufficient and meets the ordinance requirements. The next item is landscaping. The applicant was required to add additional landscaping, and as a result, they've added one additional tree on East Maple, two additional trees on Chopin, and they have also provided the necessary landscaping calculations for our review. Due to these changes in site plan, the applicant has also added additional landscape area as well as decreased the total amount of impervious surface as a result. The landscape calculations do meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance under section 13.02. The next issue for consideration is lighting. The applicant has submitted a revised lighting plan which does comply with Article 13. If you remember, the lighting in the rear was over the ordinance requirements, so they have reduced that lighting to comply with the required provision in the ordinance. The last item for consideration is special use criteria. All drive-throughs in Troy have to comply with section 6.0 of the ordinance, and this includes ingress and egress, stacking, and drive-through location. The applicant has addressed all these issues, and the site plan does comply with these standards. In addition, all special uses must comply with section 9.0D, which includes compatibility with adjacent uses, compatibility with the master plan, traffic impact, impact upon public services, compliance with the zoning ordinance standards, as well as impact upon natural resources. The applicant has revised their site plan to comply with all these requirements under section 9.0D. So in conclusion, we find that as a result of the Planning Commission input, the applicant has submitted a revised site plan which better provides circulation, better access, increased landscaping, as well as reduced impervious surface, and lastly complies with all special use standards. So as a result, we do recommend Planning Commission approval of the special use and preliminary site plan approval, contingent upon the applicant turning the bike rack 90 degrees as we stated earlier.
All right, is there any questions for Mr. Carlisle? Any questions? I see the petitioner is present. Do you have anything to add at this time?
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Again,
Please, can you add to the microphone, please?
yes, I'm sorry.
So we can all hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. As I mentioned before, we're really excited about this location. We think this is going to be a fantastic location for our business and to serve the community of Troy. Working with staff and with the Planning Commission was an absolute pleasure for us, and we think that the site plan is going to be is something that you can really look at in the future as a great location and a good example of how a drive-through fast food restaurant can serve your community well.
Any questions of the petitioner? I just want to tell you, sir, you did a really fine job, I think, with the revisions. I really like the traffic flow through the site. It's a much cleaner site. It's a much more functional site. I think it's going to help your customers and your staff run a fine business. So thank you for your cooperation and for doing an excellent job.
Great, thank you, sir.
Sir, bring it back to the table. Mr. Evans?
I don't have any questions. I'm ready to move the resolution.
Please go ahead. If there's any comments, that you can make your motions.
Resolve that special use approval and preliminary site plan approval for the proposed Tim Hortons restaurant located on the north side of Maple Road and west of John R. at 1905 East Maple, Section 26, currently zoned GB General Business District, be granted subject to the following. 1, turn the bicycle rack 90 degrees so that the bikes can be safely parked and not overhang into the pedestrian sidewalk.
So we have a motion from Mr. Edmonds, second from Mr. Hudson. Is there any discussion? Vote on the motion, please.
Mr. Maxwell?
Yes.
Mr. Shepke?
Yes.
Mr. Stratt?
Yes.
Mr. Tagle?
Yes.
Mr. Edmonds?
Yes.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes.
Mr. Kren?
Yes.
Motion passes, and again, welcome, and thank you for expanding your business here in Troy. And it was really a pleasure working with you, and we appreciate your cooperation and how we work together to amend the plan. I think it's an excellent plan, and we're looking forward to the opening of your new business.
Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, when is the opening plan for it, do you know, or?
We will look to open the restaurant probably mid-September.
Great, thank you.
Well, you're all set, then thanks again. Next item on the agenda is item 6, public comment for the item on the current agenda. Do you want to wish to speak on that? And seeing no one leaving out of their chairs, we will close that item and move to planning commission comments. Mr. Master, do you have a comment this evening?
No comment.
Mr. Hudson?
No comment.
Mr. Stratt? Mr. Pratt?
No.
Mr. Tagle? No. Mr. Evans? Mr. Shepke? All right. Deputy? Ms. Scott? Nothing? What? That was easy. And with that, we'll adjourn this meeting and move on to part 2 shortly. Let's take a 5-minute break.